transaction?
Ma'am, active state, partially committed state, failed state, and aborted state, I guess.
Okay, fine. Shivam, why are you typing? Why are you not speaking? You unmute yourself and speak. Which are the states? Yes, you are right. Active state. You can speak. You can unmute yourself. You have muted. That's why I'm not able to listen you. First unmute. Okay. Arya, which are the states of transactions? Arya? Samir, which are the states of transaction? Arpan? Where is Arpan? Arpan, are you there? Tell me which are the states of transaction. Now, who will tell me which states of transaction from this? You can decide by yourself and let me know which are the states of transactions.
Ma'am, ma'am means there are
Yes.
total two possibilities that the transaction will complete successfully or not. If it is completed successfully, then the figure on the board means the active stage. Then it is partially committed, then committed, and then end. And if it is not completed, means it is failed. Then it will be active, then failed, then aborted, and then end.
Okay, fine. Very nice. So these are the transactions states. Either transaction can be either successfully completed or not completed. If it is successfully completed, it means first transaction has to active. After beginning the transaction, it will be in active state. Then it is in partially committed state. Then permanently changes the save. The changes are going to save permanently. It means it is in committed state. And if there is problem comes, so from partial state it will come to the failed state and aborted state. I have given you example of ATM. Then suppose you have given ATM, you want to withdraw money from the ATM, you can go to the ATM, you can enter your ATM card. Then now you are from the beginning, you are in the active state. It will ask you for the PIN number. You are giving your PIN number. You are giving amount of money to withdraw. And if you are able to withdraw money successfully, you can eject your card. You can get your money. You will get your receipt. So from partially committed state, after ejecting everything, you are now in a committed state, and that changes will save permanently. So as and when you require, you can access that. Now, second thing is, suppose there is some problem occurs, some problem comes, there is some server problem is there, you have inserted your ATM card, you have given your PIN number, and the money whatever you have given for the withdrawal, that money is not available into ATM, or it is larger than your ATM money limit. So you are not able to complete your transaction. It will eject your card and it will eject that transaction is cancelled. You will not going to get your money. So now you are in failed state and transaction will going to abort. So these are the various states of transaction. The next is acid property. Okay, who will tell me which are the acid properties? You have to be active, please. You have to answer me. Atharva, which are the acid properties? Please tell me name of acid properties. You can tell by yourself. Jemish, Rishikesh, Jemish, Neek.
Ma'am,
There are so many
atomicity,
students.
consistent,
Yes, very nice. Then
atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability.
excellent. Anyone else? Nishit, Pratham, Samir, Trisha, Vishwa, are you there or not? Why are you not replying?
Atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability.
Okay, excellent. Very nice. So these are the acid properties. Atomicity means all or nothing. Either Trisha can go Ahmedabad or Trisha will not go Ahmedabad, or either Trisha can go Indus University or she can't go Indus University. She will not in between move here and there. So this is the atomicity, either all or nothing. Second thing is consistency. If I have transferred 500 rupees into Akshat's account, from my account I am having 1000 rupees, and from that I have transferred 500 rupees in Akshat account. Akshat is having 2000 rupees in his account. So what is the consistent state? From 1000 minus 500, I am having 500 rupees in my account because I have transferred 500 from the 1000 rupees. And Akshat is having 2000 rupees. So that 500 is transferred to Akshat's account. So Akshat is having 2500 rupees in his account now. So this is the transaction, we can say consistent state. Whatever I have withdrawn, that is going to add into the Akshat account. Suppose I can say that from 1000 I have transferred 500. Now my account is having only 500 rupees. And Akshat is having only 2000 rupees. That 500 not going to credit into Akshat's account. So this is inconsistent state. This is not true because from my account it is debited and Akshat is not going to get that money. So this kind of state is known as a, we can say, inconsistent state. This should not happen. Okay, next is durability. It should be durable. Whatever changes you are making, whether there is any problem come with the ATM machine, whether there is any problem with the power failure or any other problem will be there, but whatever changes you have done, that should be permanent, it should be durable. Now isolation. Isolation means the transaction you can run parallelly, more than one transaction simultaneously run, but they are isolated from each other. They are not going to affect each other. For example, suppose I want to withdraw money. I am withdrawing money from my ATM. I can say that Bhopal Axis Bank ATM. Somebody else want to withdraw the money. He is also using the Axis Bank ATM from Thaltesh branch. Somebody is using from Maninagar branch. So everybody is doing transaction parallelly from that particular Axis Bank account, but they can work, we can say, in isolation. They are not going to we can say disturb each other. So this kind of thing is known as an isolation. So these are the properties. Now the next thing is concurrency. When two or more persons want to try to access the same data parallelly, then this kind of concurrency will occur. I told you that suppose only one seat of we can say movie theater is available and 4 persons at a time are watching this seat and they all want to book this seat. They have given request parallelly for booking this particular seat. Then what happened? Who will get this seat? So this kind of problem will occur with the database, and this is known as a concurrency. So at that time it will apply some locking mechanism. At a time only one person can book the ticket, other can see that particular thing. So it will in a fraction of second, whether it is timestamp based, whether it is other kind of locking protocol should be there. Okay, you can see here I have given you the example. Yeah, you can see here. This is also a problem, one kind of problem in concurrency control when more than one car wants to go through the roads, 4-cross roads. So this is not going to happen. In that case, they are applying the lock. So there are various kind of locking mechanism. There are shared lock and exclusive lock. Shared lock means read lock. Read can be allowed. Suppose I'm writing something on board, more than one person can read this. But at a time, suppose I'm writing, other faculties are not, we can say, allowed to write. More than 2-3 faculties are not, more than one faculty is not allowed to write, because if I write something before you read, somebody will going to erase it, and this is not a consistency. This is not a consistent state. So read can be possible by more than one person, but write can be possible one at a time. So this kind of problem will occur. So this will basically occur when multi-programming environment is there, when multiple transactions are executing simultaneously. So you can see that there are two categories of protocol, lock-based and timestamp-based. Lock-based are two protocols, binary lock, shared and exclusive lock. Binary lock is having two states, either it is locked or it is unlocked. Shared or exclusive lock, this type of locking mechanism differentiate lock based on their use. If the lock is acquired on data item to perform write operation, then it is exclusive lock. More than one transaction to write on same data item would be lead to database inconsistency state. I told you that shared lock is for reading purpose because more than one person can read and they cannot do changes. But write can be available for only one person, that is exclusive lock. Now there is one two-phase locking Protocol is there. Generally, in exam, you can see such kind of question will going to arise. Explain two-phase locking protocol. So two-phase locking, as the name suggests, this locking is in phases. There are having mainly two phase, the growing phase and the shrinking phase. So this locking protocol divide the execution phases of a transaction into three parts. There are three parts. The first part, in which transaction just start the execution and it will going to ask for the permission for the lock required. Whatever lock they required, it will just going to ask for the permission. Yes, I require this lock. Okay, so this is the first part. In second part, the transaction acquires all the lock. In second part, it will going to get the lock, and as soon as the transaction release its first lock, the third phase is start. In this phase, the transaction cannot demand for any new lock, only it is going to release the lock. As I told you, it is divided into the three parts. In first part, it will just seek the permission and start the execution. It asks for the lock. In second phase, it is actually get the locking and it will start the transaction. Once it will release the lock, it will enter into the third state, and in third state the only release of locking is allowed. Then they cannot we can say acquire a new lock, just release phase begin. So this is the general locking scenario, how it will going to work. So in two-phase locking, there are two phases. One is growing phase and the other is shrinking phase. So what it will do in growing phase, where all the locks are being executed by transaction, and on the second phase shrinking, where the locks held by the transaction being released. So in growing phase, the lock are being acquired. They can ask for the lock, they're going to get the lock, not ask for the lock. But in growing phase, lock is allowed, lock is given to the transaction for the process. So they can get the lock and they are doing that processes. But in sinking phase, what happened? They are releasing the lock. So exclusive lock or write lock, a transaction must have first acquired the shared lock and then upgrade into the exclusive lock. So whenever transaction is claiming for the exclusive lock, it first has to acquire for the read lock by shared lock, then it will upgrade for the exclusive lock. So you can see here the transaction is going to begin. Okay, it will ask for the lock and it will enter into the next state where it is going to get the lock, and when it will start here releasing a lock, unlocking the item, it will enter into the lock release state and transaction will going to end. Now in two-phase locking protocol, here it will going to lock the data item. This is considered as a lock point, and here it will start releasing the data item locks. So when it will going to start releasing the data item, it cannot acquire for the new lock. New lock acquiring is not given. You can see here two transaction scenarios are given here, T1 and T2. So you can see here from this 0 to 2 time, it will going to acquire the lock. It has lock to data item, shared lock A means read lock A, and exclusive lock B. We can say write lock on B, and this is the lock point, access point at phase 3 or third time, right? So at phase 3, it will going to we can say there is one access point is given from which it is going to start. We can say releasing lock. You can draw a triangle like this. Okay. So here it is going to suppose acquire the lock, and this is the point, one access point or one point from which it is going to start releasing the lock. You can draw a diagram like this, or you can simply understand like this, a triangle manner. Okay. So you can see here from stage 5 to 6, it is going to unlock the data item. First it will unlock A and then it will going to unlock B. Now if I can talk about transaction T2, so here at time 1 it is going to acquire the lock, and at time 5 it is again going to acquire the lock. So from 1 to 5 we can say lock acquisition is there, and 6 we can consider as a we can say that lock point from it will start releasing, right? So from this lock point 6, it is going to start releasing. So again you can draw a triangle like this. Up to this, it is going to 0 to 5 it is going to acquire the lock, and from this 6 this lock point will start, and from the 6 it is going to start releasing the lock. So this is the acquiring the lock, this is the lock point, and here it will start releasing the lock. So in this kind of two phases, here you can see at 7 and 8 it is going to unlock the data item A and data item C. So transaction T1, 1 to 3 is growing phase. You can see here from 1 to 3 we can say it is going to acquire the lock. Then 5 to 7 is the shrinking phase. Third is the lock point, and transaction T2, 2 to 6 it can acquire for the lock, or 6 you can say it is a lock point. Up to lock point it can acquire the lock. And shrinking phase is 8 to 9, it is going to release the lock. I have started here from 0 and the lock point is 6. So these are the shrinking phase and growing phase and lock point. Now strict two-phase protocol. The first phase of strict two-phase locking is same as two-phase locking. After acquiring all the lock in first phase, the transaction continuously execute, or normally it is going to execute. But in contrast to two-phase locking, strict two-phase locking does not release the lock after using it. So strict two-phase locking holds all the lock until the commit point and release all the lock at a time. Strict two-phase locking does not have cascading abort as two-phase locking does. Now, what is the meaning of cascading abort? Cascading abort means what? If parent lock will going to die, then child will also going to die. This is the situation that parent transaction is going to abort or fail, then other related child processes are also going to abort. So this is called cascading abort. This is not going to happen here. So in true phase locking, you can see here the lock is acquired, and then unlocking is this. Here there is one, again there is one transaction. In between this two unlock, there is lock C. So this is not going to happen in strict phase 2 locking protocol. First it will going to acquire whatever number of lock they have to first acquire, and after acquiring all the lock they have to just release the lock. In between there is no acquire of lock is possible in any of the parallel running transaction. They just have to first acquire and then they have to release the lock. Okay. The next is timestamp based protocol. So there are two types of protocol, lock based and timestamp based. In timestamp based protocol, it is most commonly used concurrency control protocol. This protocol uses either a system time or the logical counter as a timestamp. Every transaction has a timestamp associated with each. The ordering is determined by the age of the transaction. The transaction is created at time 2, clock time would be older than the transaction that come after it. For example, transaction Y is entering at time 4. Is we can say after 2 seconds, I mean it is younger. So priority will be given to older one. Suppose X is coming at 2 seconds and Y is coming at 4 seconds. So Y is, we can say, younger one, a new one, a latest one. So 2 will the transaction X which came at the time second 2, timestamp 2 is the older one. So priority is always given to the older one. In addition to every data item is given the latest read and write timestamp. This lets the system know when the latest read and write operation was performed on the data item. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? Suppose I have given the, suppose I want to book a ticket and I have given the ticket request at second 4 and somebody is giving request at second 5. So I'm the older transaction, my transaction is the older transaction. I'll get the turn first because I have given request first for booking that ticket. So those who have given request first will get the chance first. So this is the working of timestamp based algorithm or timestamp based locking. Now what is deadlock? Okay, I already explained you. You know what is deadlock. You have to tell me what is deadlock. You please tell me what is deadlock. Who will going to speak on deadlock? Pratham, Pranav, Samir. If you will not speak, though, I'll consider you absent, that you are not present. If you are present, in that case, you have to speak. If don't know, then you can tell me, ma'am, I don't know. It's okay.
Ma'am, can you send this recording?
Yeah, what?
Can you send this recording?
Yeah, I'll send you recording, but you please tell me what is the meaning of deadlock. I already sent yesterday recording of deadlock.
Ma'am,
Yes.
deadlock is a situation in which two or more transactions are waiting for one another to give up blocks.
Very nice. Anyone else? Anyone else can please speak. What is the meaning of deadlock?
Ma'am, set of blocks, each holding some resource.
Okay. You are something near to that.
Ma'am,
Anything else? Anyone else?
it holds the other processes and do one by one. Means one process then another process.
Okay, you tell me real time scenario where you can find out the deadlock. I don't want definition. You can give me real time example where you find the deadlock.
Ma'am, in Xerox machine.
Okay. Excellent. How?
Means, ma'am, you have given that example that if one person has came for 100 Xeroxes and then another person came for only one Xerox, but until the person who have given the 100 Xeroxes completes its work, the next person would not get that machine's availability.
Okay, fine. Anything else? Any other real time example you can tell me?
ATM, ma'am.
How ATM? How ATM? Even you can see the figure in PPT, then also you will get the idea. Are you able to see the PPT? There is one figure I have given for the deadlock. What this figure says?
Ma'am, traffic signal.
Yes. You can see here, and you will remember it easily. There are 4 crossroads. See here. So everyone wants to cross the road, but everyone is waiting for other to leave the road, make the space, and they can move. But nobody is leaving. Nobody is leaving the road, and everyone wants to transfer or cross the road. So everyone is waiting for other to leave the road. They are not leaving, but they are waiting for other to leave the road because they want to use it. So what is the meaning of this? You can consider all this car as a processes and the road as a resources. So all the processes are holding the resources. For example, this side car are holding this road. They are not leaving this road and they want to go to this road. They want to use this road, right? So they are waiting as this car will going to release this road and we will move. Again, this car are also holding this road and they want to go to this other road. They want to go this side. So they wait that we are not leaving this road, but we want to go to this side road. So we are requesting for this road to other cars that you please leave the road and we want to cross this road, right? This car are also thinking that we want to go this side, but we are not leaving this road, but we want to go this side, so we are requesting them to leave the road and move. So everybody is requesting other car, they are waiting for other car to leave the road, but everybody is resource means they are holding the resources, they are holding the roads, and they are requesting for the new resources to the other processes, other cars. So this kind of situation will lead to deadlock. Nobody wants to leave the road, but they want new road for the crossing. So everyone is waiting for other to leave the resources. They are holding the old resources, not releasing the resources and requesting for the new resources. So this kind of situation is known as a deadlock. Now, what is the solution of deadlock? You can see here, there is a traffic signal. This is the solution of a deadlock, right? So whenever you can show the traffic signal, you can stop a car for crossing here and there, moving here and there. So this is the solution of avoiding the deadlock in real-time scenario. Same example, same thing will happen when we are having more than one processes in a real time. So what happens here? Suppose there is a printer and everyone wants to use that printer. So that is a deadlock. Limited resources are there and multiple processes want to access the same resources. So they are holding the resources as well as acquiring for the new resources. So that kind of situation is known as a deadlock. Now, what are the, we can say, what are the conditions which leads to deadlock? The first one is mutual exclusion. Second one is non-preemption. Third one is acquire and wait. And the fourth one is circular wait. So mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion means what? Okay, during your childhood, you have heard the story of that goat. They want to cross the pool, right? One goat was sleeping and the other goat crossed the road. So mutually, they have given chance to one at a time to cross the road, right? So this was the story you have heard during your childhood. The same thing will happen when processes are not mutually exclusive. They are not giving chance to each other. So this kind of situation again leads to deadlock. But if one process at a time can use the resources, and once the work will finish, they'll release the resources. So this kind of situation is called mutual exclusion. When mutual exclusion will not be there, the deadlock will going to happen. Hold and wait. For example, I'm holding something and asking for some other resources, right? Suppose I'm having one chair and I'm not leaving that chair and I'm asking for the other chair also, which other person wants that particular chair. So it means I'm holding my chair and requesting for other person to give his chair to me also. So this kind of thing will going to happen when I'm holding something and asking for the new one. So other person will not going to get the my chair because I have hold it and waiting for other to give me chair. So this kind of situation is known as a hold and wait, and this is again leads to a deadlock. The third thing is no preemption. There are two things, preemption and non-preemption. So what is the meaning of preemption? When higher priority process will come, lower priority process will give chance to higher priority process. If I can talk about the operating system, a multitasking environment, you can at a time you can run PowerPoint, you can see the Word document, you can listen the music, even you can use the Paint, you can send some mail to somebody using Internet Explorer. So whenever I want to use Explorer or Google Chrome, I'll minimize the other processes. It means other processes will run in background. They have given chance to Google Chrome to use the internet. For example, suppose I want to use PowerPoint, in that case, other processor will minimize and it will work in the background. So this kind of situation is known as a preemption, where whenever other higher priority process will come, lower priority process will give the chance. So this is again not leads to deadlock. But what is the meaning of no preemption? If I can take example of printer, if I have given 100-page printout and somebody wants to take only 2-page printout, but until my 100-page will going to finish, the other person will not going to get the chance for 2-page printout. So he has to wait until my 100-page will complete, or sometime it happens that ink will finish or some page will, we can say some problem will occur to the printer. So other person will go into the starvation. He will not going to get chance anytime. So this situation again leads to deadlock. So you have to remove the, we can say no preemption. And circular wait. Circular wait, for example, 3 persons are sitting in circle. Right? 4 people, suppose. 4 people are sitting in, we can say, then they want to access this. Suppose these are the forks. So there are only 3 forks and 4 persons. At a time, you need a 2 fork. So suppose I am eating, the spaghetti is there. Suppose I am eating spaghetti and using 2 fork. So until I'll release the fork, the other person can use this fork and the right and left, both the side fork are available. But at a time there are less fork, then the resources are less, because you need a 6 fork, but there is not a 6 fork, only 4 forks are available. So at a time 1 person or 2 person can eat properly. So other have to wait in circular manner until that person will going to release the fork. So this situation is known as a circular wait. So how to avoid such kind of circular wait? You have to give the numbering strictly either in increasing order or in decreasing order to avoid the deadlock. So these are the situation which lead to deadlock. So there are two kind of deadlock prevention schemes: wound wait and wait die. Wait die is a non-preemptive and wound wait is a preemptive process. So this scheme will allow the older transaction to wait, but it will kill the younger one. And wound wait, this scheme allows younger transaction to wait, but an older transaction requests a data item held by the younger one. The older transaction forces the younger one to abort and release the item. In both the cases, the transaction enter into a system at a later stage is aborted. So other graph and all these things are given. This I have already explained you in my previous video. So you just go through that video in depth. I have explained you. I have sent you link yesterday. So you just go through this, and you can please write down if you are having any query or any question in chat box.